I will just give you an understanding about the state, how our state actually are grappling with different kind of problems, especially West Bengal restarting most economic activities in non-containment, yani ki green zones, that is green zones areas. On 8th June Monday, authorities are concerned about the recent surge in case of deaths. The state has reported 400 plus cases for 4 straight days now. Actually, it is increasing very vigorously. The poorer states are yet to be seriously hit by the COVID-19 crisis. The moving map of COVID-19 cases in India clearly shows that the virus is now spreading to the eastern region from other parts of the country. This is more so when almost 6 to 7 lakh migrant workers are back home and few lakh more are really stranded in different parts of the country waiting for getting back to home. The state is under a twin crisis of COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown situation. Plus, it faces a huge financial, infrastructural and administrative crisis. About 1 million workers are getting back toiling and already facing severe crisis. Many of them already died on their way back. There has been very cruel accidents in between. Situation truly gets out of hand when the super cyclone Amphan has created havoc and devastated the agrarian population of the state. And now politics, which Amrish Bhai ji also was mentioning. Politics has now come into play. It's quite early, but keeping the eye on 2021 assembly election, Amit Shah ji yesterday he actually had a virtual rallies and spent a huge lot of money. When this is happening, all this is happening when the state is really succumbing to several wounds. The state is already suffering from different kind of agendas and now the election issue. Now coming to the agenda on the reflection of the state's performance and position in education and learning during COVID-19 situation, I would first mention the secondary and higher secondary councils are strangled over declaring the examination results on time and starting the next academic schedule due to the COVID-19 situation. The West Bengal Council of Higher Secondary Education and the postponement of the examination of the higher secondary, besides a few papers of class 11 annual examination also conducted by it. The West Bengal Board of Secondary Education is now notified to publish the result. In the meantime, at a meeting with HRD, several state governments flagged concerns over the digital divide in education to discuss about the way forward for learning amid the COVID-19 outbreak. While almost 7,000 of the 14,000 secondary and higher secondary schools in the state is now being treated as a quarantine center, and in view of these extraordinary circumstances due to COVID-19 pandemic and nationwide lockdown, some our state governments have already issued directive to the schools regarding promotion of all students from class 1 to 8. The minister said the government has asked all state-run, state-aided schools to enforce no detention policy from classes 1 to 8 this year. Now, coming back to the issue of reopening in the schools, West Bengal State Education Department has actually confirmed that schools and colleges in the state will remain closed until 30th June in the light of increasing COVID-19 cases. The decision to extend closure of educational institutions was announced by the state as they are being used as quarantine center for migrant workers. In Bengal, few schools have started demonstrating sessions for students and parents and teaching staff before its reopening. The schools will be asked to follow an alternate model and department and the education department will ensure that classes take place adhering to the social distancing norms. Asked to elaborate on the alternate model, the education minister said that the detailed information will be notified subsequently. He added that state administration would ask private educational institutions also to follow the same timetable. Education Minister also added that about the ongoing preparation of holding the pending board exams for new subjects. West Bengal, few subjects. West Bengal government plans to hold exams for pending subjects on the last week of June and the first week of July as part of the preparation for upcoming West Bengal board exams 2020. The state government will keep safety and health measures as top priority. So that's what but they will also have confirmed that the new seating matrix, staggered classes, different mess and library rules, revamped hostels and canteens could be the part of students' socially distanced lives in the schools and colleges where they will return. Now, about the private school fees, I come to the next point. Our honorable
Prabir, हम पहले first we'll have a discussion on a first question, then we'll move to the second part. I think what you have really mentioned about the schools are still closed in West Bengal and they are treated as a quarantine center. And I think this also flags another issue. Even if we reopen the school, what is going to happen in terms of sanitization and the safety measures? I think that's a very relevant point I have mentioned. Now we will move on to the West Bengal. We have Prabir with us. So Prabir, can you share what is happening in West Bengal related to digital education? What are the steps and the reaction from the parents just around it?
Yeah, actually, regarding the digital education, our education minister recently told in a press conference that from now onward, there will be from class 9 standard to 12 standard, there will be online classes on TV sets and switch on the DD Bangla channel wherein the classroom atmosphere will be there and some well-known teachers will give lecture on particular subjects. The students can also ask questions. The students can also ask questions during the classes through the phone numbers practically given during the show time, and also a mail ID is given as the government wants to make it interactive, the minister said. Model questions for the activity report also can be downloaded. Now, in the meantime, in our state, we actually from CACL and RTE forum together, we had conducted a rapid assessment on the status of child rights during the lockdown situation. And the major findings, which is yet to be finalized, of course, but a rough calculation shows we actually collected responses from 2,093 children across 15 districts in the state. 1,555 children attended schools regularly before lockdown, but during lockdown only 519, yani ki 33.37% of them getting to access the online education support. Platform like WhatsApp are being used by 73.4%, YouTube channel 5.4% children are using, telephone calls 29.4%, and online classes on TV channels for 15.9%. Reasons behind not receiving facilities of online education are it is understandably evidently that no options of online education for 34% of the school-going children. There are options, but 10% of children and their families are not aware. 30% school-going children do not have access to smartphones or computer and obviously can't afford to internet access. 5.9% of these children were engaged in labor before lockdown, and during lockdown 10.4% of such children continued in the labor sector. Average meal food intake for the children per day during last week of May and also in the first week of June, 2% of the children had no meal practically, and then 1.8% of the children had one time, and 13.4% of the children could have 2 times meals. families of 4.4% children are not receiving rations or foods from any sources, not even from schools and Anganwadi centers. Responses to these questions responses to the questions like after lockdown, when the school reopens, will the children turn up in the school? Then the responses were 1.6% told no, 6.5% were not sure. And it is quite evident from these above facts and figures, which is very small sample, of course. But however, we came to an conclusion that online education has impacted adversely to the secondary school students who are not getting to stay in connection with the digital platform due to less purchasing power. The students who enjoy this system are not happy due to technical difficulties that may cause the mental stress and expresses fear to enroll in the school. There will be significant dropout and crisis can lead to a surge of child laborers, and the girl students who are deprived from online education can move to a surge in child marriage. So that's what our understanding is at the state level. Thank you.
Can I request Prabir to share his reflection on private school fee and what is happening in West Bengal on this?
It is almost like what Ashokji has just now told. The situation is almost similar, especially when we see not entirely in West Bengal, but only in Kolkata, where the big schools are there, big private schools, they are actually charging fees. Even in spite of the fact that our minister, education minister and chief secretary, they have been repeatedly requesting the private schools not to take the fees, but to and waive the fees for the 3 months, as Ashokji has said. This has been requested by the government only, but in spite of the fact, the guardians were pressurized to deposit the fees. Now, the one unique thing has happened in the meantime here in our state. The guardians of the private schools, they have really mobilized themselves against this pressure, and they have been almost protesting every day. But now they have a platform like West Bengal Private Schools Guardians Forum, and they have opened a Facebook page also. And we see there are some many thousands of guardians. They are actually reflecting their views in the Facebook, and this is being so much. I mean, this united action has been so sound and vigorous that Chief Minister also said that she is going to sit with his guardians very soon. So let's see what happens. But it's true that the big schools can really pay the fees to the teachers, even in spite of the fact that they cannot. If they don't take the fees from the students, they can easily manage to pay their teachers, but they are not doing that, and they are pressurizing. And most importantly, now we see that the DPS school, they have actually started selling the mask also from the school, and those masks are branded. I mean, branded. The school's emblem have been put into the mask, and they are selling it. So now it's really a kind of business we see in the education sector. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabir ji. Prabir ji, you wanted to say or add your view?
Exactly.
Yeah, please.
On the online education program, what I feel is that we should not be fully depending on the online education. This could be a supplementary or complementary kind of thing. But in the meantime, what we in our state from RTE forum, we have seen many teachers in the government teachers. They have solely on their own taken some very unique initiative in connecting the students even during the lockdown period. So there are many good practices. Even some CSOs and NGOs, they are also doing the same thing. I mean, connecting with the students in actual life, and trying to get in touch with the students physically, keeping this social distancing and other health matters in mind, they are doing that. So I think that should continue. That should continue more vigorously. Teachers should go out to reconnect the students, and they should really find out in our state. Actually, we are doing this survey, the assessment, rapid assessment, with the idea of having an idea that who are the children who are in red zone. Red means, from our point of view, red is dangerous. I mean, they have already decided that they will not turn up in the school once again. And then there are yellow zones, who the parents and the children both are confused. Whether they will continue in education or not, they don't understand. They are totally in confused state. And the green zone, they are better off, I think, idea wise and conceptually they are quite better off, that once the school reopens, whenever it is, if it is after 6 months also, they might come back. So we want to really concentrate with the children in the yellow and the red zone who are really becoming dangerous, and those who will definitely be dropping out once the school reopens. So one way of remedial measures we see, that if we start connecting the students, those children, and taking the government teachers also along with us, and encouraging them to reach out to the community at in a community hall or somewhere where the physical distance can be maintained in rotation wise in different slots. They can really meet the different students in their of different classes at the community level. Also, they can bring few children to the school also, the schools which are not at all quarantine center, those which have not been converted into quarantine center now, because 50% of the schools are still free from that. So in those areas, the schools also can be used, where fewer students can be called up in the schools itself, and they can be assisted with this understanding of the syllabus and coping up with the situation of this lockdown. So that's what we feel. But ongoing, this could be a very good opportunity for the teachers as well as the students, that online education or digital education, they will slowly and gradually, they will start coping up with this mechanism also. This should not be just written off.
Are already exceeded our time limit that we had set for ourselves, which was about 12:30. We are already in 12:49. But I think all the panelists have shared a very strong perspective and also the ground situation. So for benefits of everybody, I'll just summarize three and four critical points that have come up. I think one of the key recommendation or the reflection has been that digital education and online education is actually not reaching out to all the children, even if reaching out, this impact is not visible. And it's also leading to the stress and all the health problem that Ashokji was highlighting. I think this requires a serious reflection and engagement. If at all, as we move forward, I think what Prabirji has said, we need a blended approach to look at to what extent a digital education could be part of our school system. One point that have come in is that we need to declare this academic year as a zero academic year, and probably we can look at whether it should be done for the primary or secondary or higher secondary. But there is one strong suggestion from Ashokji, and many of the participants have given their consent to this recommendation. How do we, what happens to children? What do we do with that during the period? That is something to reflect on. Third, I think, which have also thrown something for all of us to think, is about the budget school getting closed because parents are not paying fee, and what happens to these children who will be leaving the budget school but then part of a government school system. I think the last point which is coming very strongly for all of you is that government really need to invest in school education, both for the infra, even if there is a intent to promote a digital education, there has to be devices and instrument. I think this provision is started without any preparation at both government level and the teachers level. Teachers are even not prepared how to handle children when they are on online mode, what kind of handholding support needs to go. And the last point, which have been very pertinent, that so far government hasn't engaged neither parent or school management committees or other stakeholder. I think that has to be one of the biggest link, whether we are talking about reopening the school, whether we are talking about promotion of a digital education. It doesn't have a consent of parents or the school management committee that has been one of the local accountability authority as per the Right to Education Act. I think these are the broad key points our participant and the panelists have also shared. So with this, with the permission of Amrish, I would like to close the webinar of today, and thank you so much for all the panelists for sharing the ground reality and what is happening in each of the state, and also your personal perspective and opinion how we need to address these three critical issues in context of India and various states. Thank you so much, everybody.
गीता जी, आपको एक बढ़िया मॉडरेशन के लिए, और अशोक जी, प्रवीर जी और अनिल भाई, आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. एंड एवरीबडी हु पार्टिसिपेटेड इन दिस वेबिनार, आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक एवरीबडी. एक जो सबसे बड़ी बात जो समझ में आ रही है, जिसके लिए हमें जरूर चिंता करने की जरूरत है, वो ये है कि MHRD is regularly in consultation with the private sector, and most of the digital companies, they are moving around the MHRD and they are suggesting everything to MHRD. They are not consulting with the Teachers Association. They are not consulting it. MHRD not consulting, but with the renowned educationists in this country, and neither they are consulting the educationists, nor they are consulting with the activists or most of the NGOs who are working in education sector. They are only consulting with the Rotary Club, with the MOOCs platform, the private sector, and this is threat for the public education system. And we are just we can assume that where we are going in the hand of the private sector. Those who are making profit from the education, those who want education converted into the commodity. So that's the big danger posing. Big danger is we can look and we can assume in the future. So we have to come together to raise our voices with the Teachers Association also, to defend our right to education, to defend public education system in this country. This is the need of our, otherwise we lose our, the education of 70%, more than 80% children who are belonging to marginalized and deprived classes. Thank you.